Alright, this video is for the pipe support isometric drawing, which is shown here. Let's see. So you should be working on this after the pipe support where we did the front, top and side. So I'm going to erase this over here. I'm just going to draw it over here to the side. Okay. So all the dimensions that we need are over here on this drawing. I just have basically the shape of what it looks like that I may flip back and forth to a couple times. But this drawing is an isometric drawing, meaning these lines are drawn at 30-degree angles. These lines are straight up, so it has vertical lines, but it has no horizontal lines throughout the whole thing. Everything that might normally be horizontal in this drawing is actually going to be at a 30-degree angle right here. Now there's an easy way to draw in 30-degree increments in AutoCAD. Right down here there's a little button called Isometric Drafting. So when you click on that, your mouse cursor changes, and then when you draw lines, if you have ortho on, you have to have ortho on, which is here. If you have ortho on, your lines will automatically snap to 30-degree increments, meaning you can draw a line straight up, and then you can draw a line at this 30-degree increment, all the way around. Except sometimes you can't snap onto certain degrees. So, for example, if I wanted to draw this line right now, I could, because it would just be this direction. However, if I wanted to draw this line going this direction up and to the left, I actually kind of can't. It just goes down bottom left, this direction. So what you have to do is hit a function key, which is F5. In order to, what that does is it flips your mouse, and it also allows you to draw at different angles, but they're still at 30-degree increments. But it's just sometimes you have to hit F5 if you can't get the specific angle that you're trying to get. Okay, so I'm going to start from this corner and kind of build, let's build this front face as if this circle wasn't here, kind of like we did with the front view. So this line is going to be 3, and then I can't draw a line straight up, it's not letting me. I have to hit F5, and then it lets me draw one straight up. So this is 5.5, so 5.5. And then I'm going to come back down this way. I have to hit F5 again to flip my cursor. 3, and then back down to there. So that's kind of like this front face right here. And then I'm going to do this top, kind of like this piece right here. And this whole lip, without the curve, is 2 right there. So I'm just going to draw a line from here, hit F5 to flip my mouse, 2, then it comes this way 3, and then back that way 2. This lip has a thickness of 5/8 of an inch. So draw a line here, down 5/8. And then I'm going to maybe do the same thing on the bottom, so I don't have to do any math, the same way I did on the side view. So 5/8 here, and then just come up, and then over until they cross, and then trim. So that's the basic shape of our little base piece without the curves. These circles, so we're going to have a bunch of curves here. You can't actually use the fillet. It might seem like the best way to curve this off would be to use the fillet tool with a radius of, 11/16. But if I do that, that side looks okay, but then when I get to this side, you can tell that that's definitely not right. So fillet really only works for drawings that are straight on views, like an orthographic view like these 3 are. It doesn't really work for isometric or oblique views, 3D views like we're drawing here. So what you have to do is actually create iso circles, and to do that you have to type ellipse, enter, and then down at the bottom click iso circle. And then it kind of works just like the circle tool, where you just click somewhere and drag your mouse out, and then you type in the radius. But you can also hit F5 to flip the direction or the face that the iso circle would be drawn on. So you could have it flat like that, you can have it sitting up on this axis or this axis. So there's 3 different ways, and you just hit F5 to toggle through all of those. So for example, if I wanted to draw this one in the front right here, I would want it to look like this, and the radius of this front circle right here, I believe, is going to be 1. So this is my larger circle that goes right here. If I draw a line from the middle up 1.5, that'll give me the location of this. So I'm going to draw a line from this midpoint up 1.5, and then move this circle to that location. I could have drawn it there in the first place, but I was demonstrating over here. Okay, so now I have a circle there, and then there's another circle. So I'm going to type ellipse, enter, and I don't have to click down here. I can just type I, enter, choose this center for my existing point, and do 0.5 for that circle. So now I have both of those. Now this feature actually is kind of extruded from the object a bit, as you can kind of see in this picture. So, and the distance that it's extruded is shown on the side view, which is 1 inch here. How we show that in this isometric view is we use the copy tool, and I'm just going to take both of these circles and copy them. I don't want to go this way or this way. I have to hit F5. I want to copy them this direction because that's the way the extrusion actually happens, and I'm going to just type in, as I move my mouse this way, I'm just going to type in 1. So now I kind of have a copy. I'm going to erase this because that actually won't get seen, but I have a copy of this circle right here. That's exactly 1 inch away. If I were to draw a line from here to here, it should say 1. So next, what I do is just draw lines from the quadrants of these circles to make it look 3-dimensional like this. These are just an object snap, quadrant to quadrant, quadrant to quadrant. So line, quadrant, quadrant, and then on the bottom, quadrant to quadrant, and then all that's left is just trimming. So if this object actually protruded out, you wouldn't see this base here anymore. So I'm just going to start off by trimming my lines, and then you wouldn't see this part of this first circle that we drew. So I'm just going to trim that circle next, and then that's our little shape. And it's kind of just, it's assumed that this circle goes all the way through the object based on these 2 hidden lines. Alright, so that's the bottom piece. What's left is these 2 arcs here, or these 2 curves, and then these 2 holes that cut through the object. So I'm going to start with just these. These curves, or the fillets rather, they have a radius of 11/16. So to find where those go, I'm going to change my color to red. All you need to do is start from the corner and go 11/16 maybe this way, and then 11/16 this way. This will get you the center of your iso circle right here. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side, 11/16 this way, and 11/16 this way. And now, I'm going to change my color back to by layer. I can type my ellipse, enter, I, enter, click here, and then go to there. Do the same on the other side. There to there. And the radius of this will be 11/16 because that's how long this line was. Now I can erase these, and then just trim these circles, and then trim the lines on the outside. So what happens in the front here is this, I actually have to bring this curve down, make a copy of it straight down, because the curve also happens on the bottom lip right there. So this was a distance of 5/8 because we did that earlier. So if I just copy this curve that I have down 5/8, it should put it exactly in the right spot where that line and the curve kind of line up. And then draw a line from quadrant to quadrant, and then trim the curve that's kind of hidden, and then I can trim that and erase that. So I'm left with that. If this is right, that should be 2. Okay, and this should have a, I don't know if it'll say the right, it won't say the right radius when you click on it after it's already in, but this is correct. And then the only thing that's left is creating these circles, which have a diameter of 5/8. So I'm going to do ellipse enter, I enter, and they have the same center as these circles. So as long as I have center object snap on and click right there, hit F5 to flip it so it's on the right plane. And down here, since I know the diameter of the circle and not the radius, I mean, I could know the radius if I wanted to do the quote-unquote math, but if you ever just want to type the diameter instead, you can click diameter down here. That way you can just type 5/8 and that'll give you the correct size circle. So again, that's ellipse enter, I enter, hover over here, click on that, then click down here diameter, and then type 5/8, and that is the shape.